Hello fellow human, hope you guys have a great day and let's read some r/malicious compliance stories. To the first one. Boss, think about whether you want to keep working here. Me. Okay, I don't. Nearly 2 years ago, I started work at a company as their digital marketing person. After I started, it turned out that I was brought in to put out the fires left by my predecessor, the VP Marketing, who had a team of 4 plus himself, spent over $1 million in 1 year, and brought in 5 deals and 2 of them for under 10K. As you can well imagine, after a performance like that, I had lots of work to do and very little to do with it. Aside from 1 or 2 paid tools, everything else was to be done using free tools only. I'm gonna do some bragging here. I beat the previous year's figures in all categories with 10% of the budget. When I started, I thought Bossman, the founder or CEO, had a really good management style, saying things like, "Well, your successes are yours, your mistakes are mine, and the enemies of good is great. I don't expect perfection, but I want you to make sure things work and get them done." In essence, I was allowed to run my own one-man department and outsource freelancers, and as long as I was getting results, he left me alone. Since I was the only person on the marketing team, I also had learned a large number of skills and platforms that weren't directly related to digital marketing. Not to say everything was perfect, but things were pretty good. One of the main things that weren't perfect was that Bossman had serious anger management issues. As I said before, he left me alone, but I saw him blow up and fire other people for stupid crap. He lost it at me too once or twice, but he'd calm down after a couple of hours and things would be back to normal. If it looks like an abusive relationship, that's because looking back, that is exactly what it was. As the year came to an end, I approached Boss and initiated a performance review. I ran him through everything I had done in the past year, and he was pretty surprised at how much I had done with so little. I asked him for a raise, pointing out that I was currently making $8,000 per month in local currency. Average is $4,500 per month, when people with my now augmented skill were making between like $13,000 to $14,000 per month. I asked him for $12,000. He said he'd get back to me, and never did. Every time I asked him about my raise, he had another excuse. After the last excuse, I began looking for something else. The other day we had a meeting and it turns out that 2 months ago I made a mistake. It wasn't a critical mistake and it was rectified within a few hours of discovering the mistake. No harm or damage was caused whatsoever to the company, but Bossman flipping lost it. I mean, slamming on the tables, yelling for the whole office to hear, what have you. Then he said the magic words, "Well, pack your things and go home. Think about whether you want to keep working here." So that's what I did. And 10 seconds later, I said, "Nope, I don't." I started packing up my crap, while he turned an even deeper shade of red and got even louder. I didn't answer him at all, just kept on packing up my things and saying goodbyes to my colleagues. Turns out that being ignored really pushed his buttons, to the point where he just started threatening to call security to have me removed, while I was actively removing myself and my things from the office. Here's the part where it gets beautiful. My country is very strict on employees' rights, like, "Sorry Americans, I feel your pain." His words and behavior are considered improper dismissal. By law, he's required to give me 30 days notice of dismissal, which he didn't. When he realized his mistake, he convened a pre-dismissal hearing, but it was already too late. He's opened himself up to a lawsuit, which I'm already talking with lawyers about. Because by law, he has to give me those 30 days notice even though he already fired me. For the next 30 days, I'm eligible for all the benefits and social rights in my salary, but I cannot do jack crap for him and there's nothing he can do to me without making incoming lawsuit 10 times worse. I've already got 4 interviews lined up for next week, paying almost double what Boss was paying me, and best of all, I will be interviewing for other places on his dime. The cherry on top is that, because I'm the only marketing person, without me, nothing happens in the marketing department for the next month, and if it doesn't hire someone on time, I won't be around to answer any questions the new person might have. And always remember, your consulting fee is triple your hourly rate. The second story, how my 8th grade math teacher fought corporate greed and negligence with the power of gummy bears. I know that's a wild ride of a title, but I promise it's all true, so buckle up. When I was in 8th grade, I was in the first year of an experimental technology school. I had a class of about 180 8th graders, like from 12 to 14 years old, and about 10 teachers. So everybody shared the same math teacher. For our first semester, we used a software called Gauge. It was alright for most classes, but it was absolutely atrocious when it came to math. Nothing worked with math. We were supposed to use the lessons they had, but it just didn't work. Math symbols didn't show up right, and some question even had the wrong answer marked. My math teacher wasn't allowed to just move to paper, and the company insisted that the problem was that our math teacher was older and just didn't understand technology. They said that if she had a genuine issue to email them. One day I get to class and there are 7 email addresses written on the board. She told us we were going to go through our math lesson today and take screenshots of every mistake we found and email them to the company executives. 1 screenshot equal to 1 email. 10 emails equal to a packet of gummy bears. We had a blast trying to send as many emails as we could. One kid got 10 packets of gummy bear by the end of our class. By lunch, the principal called my teacher aside and asked for her to stop. She said, "Oh, hell no. My afternoon classes haven't had fun yet." Long story short, our school district got all of its money back from using the software and the company no longer exists. Or, they changed their brand out of shame. I don't know. I just can't find them anymore. Well, the power of gummy bears is something that should never be underestimated. The third story, pound of wings. Okay, you got it. I worked as a cook at a chain restaurant that had a wing night where you could get a pound of wings at a discounted price. We didn't actually weigh the wings. Our specs said 8 wings to a pound, 4 drums, and 4 flats. One night, a table comes in and everyone orders a pound of wings. A little while after the wings go out, the server comes back a little flustered and explains there has been a complaint. Apparently, one of the guys at the table complained that it was obvious that he didn't get a pound because it would be a huge coincidence if everyone's pounds led to the same number of wings on each plate. He insisted that the server go and weigh these, already discounted wings to make sure he was getting what he paid for. So, we weighed it. Sure enough, it was not a pound. It was a pound and a half. We tell the server to bring it out and tell him he's getting more than a pound. She says, "Oh, hell no. He paid for a pound. He's going to get what he paid for." And threw 2 of his wings in the garbage and reweighed the food. Still over. Throws another one out and bang on 1 pound of wings. So she brings back out 5 wings and calmly tells the gentleman, "Here are your wings, sir. You were right. There was more than a pound here. So we threw the other ones out. Good catch." When they ordered a second round, he didn't complain that everyone got 8 wings to a pound. Well, restaurants that include an equal number of drums and flats in each order of wings are heroes. Full stop. The fourth story. Was forced to do a task, got my entire chain of command fired. For obvious reason, I will be omitting names and anything specific so my butt is covered. I've been serving in a certain military branch for 5 years and I'm nearly the end of my contract. So the give of care is completely gone. I'm in charge of an inventory of specific pieces of equipment, smaller pieces that are used by many people at my job. From time to time, these pieces disappear. Most of the time, that just means things are misplaced. Well, we just got out of a certain period where we had many hired contractors at our job that tend to take things. Now, every once in a while, we conduct an inventory of these pieces of equipment for accountability reasons. When we lose things, it looks very bad on my work, more specifically, bad on my bosses. So I prepared the inventory and was startled by the amount of missing pieces. I did everything I needed to do and presented inventory to my boss. He didn't believe we had so many pieces missing and asked for me to inventory them again. So I did. Got the same number and put the inventory in his inbox. Few months go by and I get the same thing. "Well, there can't be that many. Do another one." So, I'm very compliant and do it again, and again, and again. This gets dragged on over a year, and I'm starting to notice something. My boss is about to leave soon, and he's deliberately pushing this off to the next guy to cover himself. So, last week, I was sleeping since I work nights and I'm woken up. My boss tells me I have to do a specific survey with my coworkers that will get sent up to the head honcho. This survey allows the small guy to have a voice directly to the top. I tell him that I have the night watch, but he doesn't care and demands that I go and do this survey. Fine. Before the survey starts, our boss tells us we need to be completely honest and all these surveys are anonymous. Rad. I wrote down what had been happening with the inventory and directed where they could find the documentation of the done inventories. Fast forward to yesterday. All my bosses are now fired, and I'm now reporting to new people who are fixing the issues with the inventory. Well, I guess the first rule of inventory to lock it up. On to the fifth story. I left 40 guys standing in the rain after a 12-hour shift. Up until fairly recently, I worked as a camp bus driver in major industrial area. What my duties were was to pick people up from the camp, where they lived for a certain amount of time. I was 2 weeks in, 1 week out, and to take them into the plant and drop them off at a variety of drop-offs area, depending on what their jobs was, then pick up anyone that was returning to the camp for the rest period. Now, there were certain designated areas for the buses to pick up and drop off, you know, a bus stop, and only buses were supposed to be parked in those areas. The issue was that people would keep parking their work pickup in the bus areas and block us off. We kept asking them not to do that. They kept doing it. Eventually, it all boiled over when a higher up in the company started giving us crap over picking people up out of designated areas because people kept blocking the areas with pickups. We explained why we did it, and the higher-ups promised to do something about it, but never did. The second time that the higher-ups gave us crap over picking people up out of our designated areas, my manager just told us, the bus drivers, that the next time this happened, that we should let him know via radio and then just leave. So that's what I did. Now, we didn't just spring this on our passengers. We made sure that every single one of them knew that the next time it was blocked off, that the bus would just continue on its way and leave them behind. When I spread the news to my passengers, I heard a lot of laughter, and I could tell that they didn't believe me. However, the next day, it happened again. There were pickups in our areas once again, and like the good little minion I was, I did as I was directed, got on the radio to my manager, and let him know what was happening, and left. I understand that there was a number of interesting phone calls afterwards, but we never had a problem with pickups in our areas afterwards. Well, I guess the problem was that you were actively trying to dodge a problem caused by people that just didn't give a damn. The sixth story. You're not to get involved in your mom's Facebook stuff. My dad's words years ago when I started a discussion with my mom over some dumb racist crap she said on Facebook. Facebook brings out the worst in my mother, who in real life used to be a lovely woman, but over the years got lost in her echo chamber of stupidity. I tried getting her out, but I'm not to get involved in my mom's Facebook stuff. Today, there was an illegal protest in my city, a protest organized on Facebook by the lowest of the low of our society. We have a group of about 100 delusionals in the country who are actually willing to get from behind their keyboards and disrupt public transport in my city any opportunity they can get in the name of the people. My parents, not a part of the 100, but seemed to be well on their way, went to today's protest, and the protest was illegal. They were told to separate and leave. They didn't, and they got arrested. They didn't have any form of identification on them, so they were not allowed to leave. My dad called for the first time this afternoon, asking me to go to their place, pick up their IDs, and then the police station. I asked if this was about the Facebook event, and he said yes. I said, well, I better not get involved then. Hung up and ignored his next 17 calls. My aunt apparently went to pick them up later tonight, and everyone is pissed at me, saying that I'm a traitor, except for Grandma, who called to say that she misses me, and I haven't been able to get the grin off my face. Well, be sure to give your grandma a big hug next time you're able to see her after the lockdown is over. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.